Hello, I'm Alan, and welcome to today's edition of Alan's Cycling Adventures. We are leaving Buffalo, New York today, headed for Victor, New York. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Click the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or ideas for future editions of Alan's Cycling Adventures, be sure to leave them in the comments below. Well, without further ado, let's ride.
So on a positive note, I did get caught up with my blog posts last night. So that's a good thing. The downside to that is that meant that I was up past 1 a.m., did not get as much sleep as I would have liked. So it took me a little bit longer to get moving in the morning, even though we had a scheduled late start. And as a result, I had a slightly later start than I had planned. My group was supposed to leave at 8:15 a.m. I actually left at 8:22 a.m. So I was only 5 to 10 minutes late, but it's still, I'd prefer not to start late like that. So hopefully tomorrow will be better. We have another late start scheduled for tomorrow, 8:15 again. Another random observation I have, coming into Buffalo yesterday, the gas station that we stopped at did not have public restrooms. They had stated that they got sick of people overdosing in their public bathrooms, going in and taking drugs and overdosing. And I noticed even as we continued eastward away from Buffalo, that trend continued. We got 20 miles out of Buffalo and had our first SAG stop, and the gas station that the SAG stop was at had their bathrooms closed. It was for employees only. No explanation. I didn't ask for one, but they would not let us use their bathrooms. I continued eastward from the SAG stop, and there were not a lot of good options for stopping by the side of the road because I didn't want to, go on somebody's property. But all of the gas stations and restaurants and stuff like that also would not allow us to use their bathrooms. So I ultimately did stop on the side of the road where there were some trees and stuff blocking me from being able to see people's property and in turn them seeing me. I was a little ticked off by the lack of public bathrooms in the area, and so part of me was actually hoping that a cop would stop and say something about me peeing on the side of the road, because I don't think it's legal for gas stations and whatnot to just decide to close their bathrooms to the public. But it's neither here nor there. Nobody stopped, so it was fine. Once we got further out of the Buffalo area, bathrooms were once again available. Another observation I have is when we were out west, flats were a very common occurrence. As we continued eastward, flats became less of a common occurrence, but they are starting to make a comeback again. A number of us got flats today. As a matter of fact, at one point I was coming up behind Jeff, and all of a sudden I saw this little puff from his back tire. He was a little bit further ahead of me, so I couldn't tell what he was riding on, but I hoped for just a moment that it was actually a splash from riding through a puddle, but it wasn't. Within a couple seconds of it happening, he pulled over and stopped. I asked if he was okay, and he said, yeah, I just had a blowout. And I said, yeah, that's what I was afraid I saw. And I told him what I saw. And I asked him if he wanted help. He said, no, just continue on. At one of the SAG stops, I was talking about it with Dana. More on that in a moment. But Dana assured me that Jeff's blowout had been repaired and he was on his way. And so I was happy that, that worked out. But what led me to that conversation with Dana was I actually, when I got to, and I did want to say that section where Jeff had his blowout, we were riding on the shoulder of the road, and the surface of the shoulder was terrible. So that probably played a role in more people getting flats today than in previous days. When I got to the second SAG stop, there was a mural that everyone wanted to take a picture of, and take a picture of our bikes leaning against it, and take a group picture of us, which I will post on my blog today. So you should check that out. But walking over to the mural, I felt my tires. My front tire felt great. My back tire was starting to go soft. And one thing I've learned on this trip is when you've got a tire that is starting to go soft, change it, because it's going to be flat before long. So it was actually fortuitous that this happened at the SAG stop, or at least that I discovered it at the SAG stop, because I ended up with a virtual pit crew changing my tire. So thanks again to Dana, Peyton, Fred, and Lee. You were all excellent and very helpful. As we continued from that second SAG stop, we only had 20 miles to go. So 10 miles into that, I made my customary gel stop. And then another 5 miles, I started looking for someplace to stop for a sandwich and chocolate milk. Could find nothing. Fortunately, the hotel had a whole bunch of Nutri-Grain bars laid out on a tray for us, or for all of their guests, I presume. But they had no chocolate milk, so I had to settle for a Dunkin' Donuts mocha iced coffee. I guess that's close enough. After the ride, we had dinner at Chili's tonight. I had the ultimate Cajun pasta. What was ultimate about it was it had grilled chicken and shrimp on top. It was delicious, and I hope all that pasta set me up really nice for tomorrow. Today's ride, as I said, I started at 8:22 a.m. The weather at the start was clear, temperature 61 degrees Fahrenheit with a feels like temperature of 60. Humidity 76% and wind 1.9 miles per hour from the north. The wind did pick up over the course of the day. As a matter of fact, the last 10 or so miles into Victor, it was a pretty strong headwind, pretty much a direct headwind, but it is what it is. The length of today's ride was 79.49 miles, and I had an average moving speed of 15.7 miles per hour and a maximum speed of 34.3 miles per hour. I had a total moving time of 5 hours, 4 minutes, 29 seconds, and an elapsed time of 6 hours, 9 minutes, 24 seconds. My average heart rate was 113 beats per minute, and my max heart rate was 130 beats per minute. According to Garmin and Strava, I burned 1,503 calories. My average cadence was 69 RPM, max cadence 98 RPM. In terms of elevation, Ride with GPS said that we were supposed to get 2,901 feet of elevation gain. We ended up with more than that today. It ended up being more of a climbing day than I had anticipated. According to Strava's map data, I had 3,134 feet of elevation, And according to Garmin's barometric data, it was 3,163 feet. According to my cadence sensor, I had 19,301 pedal strokes. And there were 3 Garmin climbs on today's route. However, I see that I am running out of time. So I will put the Garmin climbs and the towns we rode through in the description, as well as what we are doing tomorrow.
All right, I am here in Victor. That was fun. Well, until next time, stay safe out there.